Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name is Ross, and as always told, I had a voice radio. So today, we're going to be looking at a really exciting new item card. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, there's a new item card been revealed. And it's looking pretty nice. Now, it's been revealed on the official Japanese Pokemon channel, but rather than doing a reveal video, they actually did a gameplay video with Incineroar, and they revealed this item during the gameplay video, which is a little bit weird, but there we go. It's called Dangerous Drill, and I like it quite a lot. Now, first of all, you've got to discard a Darkness Pokemon from your hand. That's not ideal. But if you do discard either a tool or special energy attached to one of your opponent's Pokemon or the stadium in play, that's pretty gosh darn good. Now, it's similar to a whole bunch of cards we've seen recently. I mean, this is basically Faber, except Faber is a supporter card that puts them in the lost zone. Dangerous Drill is an item card that puts them in the discard. But other than that, and David is pretty spot on with his translation, it's the same card. Dangerous Drill, discard a Darkness Pokemon from your hand, and then discard a tool or special energy attached to one of your opponent's Pokemon or a stadium in play. Faber, you don't discard the Darkness Pokemon, but then you discard one of your opponent's special energy or tool cards or a stadium in play. Once again, just like with Faber, this is your opponent's special energy, your opponent's tool, or any stadium in play. So you can use this to get rid of one of your own stadiums. Now, I say one of your own stadiums. One of the things that we need to mention here is that these Prism Star stadiums all have the rule whereby they cannot be discarded using a supporter card or an item card. What that means is you're not going to be able to use this to get rid of something like a Thunder Mountain. You're still going to have to either replace a stadium or you're going to need to use an attack. Nice and simple. And really, the only downside here, other than that it can't get Prism Star stadiums, but nothing can, is the fact that you've got to discard a Darkness Pokemon from your hand. Now, to be clear, this is a phenomenal card. Let's just ignore the discarding the Darkness Pokemon for a minute. Discarding a special energy attached to one of your Pokemon, that's Enhanced Hammer, that sees a lot of play. Discarding a tool, that's a Field Blower, and alright, Field Blower gets rid of 2 tools and this only gets rid of 1, but this can either be an Enhanced Hammer or it can be half a Field Blower. It's redonk. You've just got to discard a Darkness Pokemon from your hand. That's not the easiest thing ever. Now, maybe you play something like a Professor Elm's Lecture, whereby you get to search for free Pokemon with 60 HP or less and put them into your hand. And in that regard, then you can search it out and use Dangerous Drill, but clearly it's going to be a little bit awkward. Clearly it's going to be a little bit awkward to try and get rid of a Darkness Pokemon from your hand every turn, because if you play something like a Cynthia, then yay, you draw into your Dangerous Drill, but now all of a sudden you don't have a Darkness Pokemon. If you have a Darkness deck and you're playing a whole bunch of Darkness Pokemon, then you're absolutely fine, but that's not always going to be an option. Now, this is a really good excuse for me to show you the regular art of Incineroar that got shown on the official Japanese website a couple of days ago. It's one of the most beautiful cards I've ever seen. And I've made no secret of the fact that Incineroar is a deck that I intend to be playing an awful lot of once it's legal, though it's not coming in Lost Thunder, our November set. It's going to be in our February set. Here's the problem. Litten isn't a Darkness Pokemon. Doesn't matter which Litten you go for. I've put 3 different Litten up on the screen right now. They're all fire. They're all going to be fire. Litten is not a Darkness Pokemon. It's a fire Pokemon. Which means that even if you're playing decks like Incineroar, the chances of you being able to use Dangerous Drill are quite slim because, well, I mean, you're not going to want to discard your Incineroar, and your Littens are going to be fire Pokemon, and your Torracat are going to be fire Pokemon, and that's a little bit awkward. Now, I am a huge fan of the Alolan Meowth, which is coming out in this set. The Alolan Meowth hits for 70 damage if it's your first turn of the game, and you're going second for 0 energy. I am in love with this Alolan Meowth. I think it's phenomenal. So maybe you play 4 Alolan Meowth, so that you have a greater chance of starting with it, and then the rest of them you just discard with Dangerous Drill. But then you're relying on hitting an Alolan Meowth and a Dangerous Drill in the same turn, off of something like a Cynthia, which is just not reliably done. It is awkward to get using. In a full Darkness deck, if you're playing enough Pokemon, it will be reliable. Otherwise, it won't. But what if you're playing a deck with, say, Hooper? Well, you might end up in this awkward situation where you really want to draw into a Hooper, and you really want to discard a double colourless energy off your opponent Zoroark, for instance. Well, what happens if you draw into a Hooper and a Dangerous Drill at the same time? Do you play the Dangerous Drill, or do you play the Hooper, which you want to play? This is my issue with it. Even decks like Zoroark, and clearly this is going to be fun in a Zoroark deck, even decks like Zoroark here, they're generally playing 4 Zorua, 4 Zoroark, and then a bunch of non-Darkness Pokemon. So it's not even like they're going to be playing a huge amount of them, and they generally want their Zorua, they want their Zoroark, etc. Now at this stage I need to give the usual reminder that Special Charge has rotated out, which means if you can discard a special energy, it's going to be way more fun than it would have been in the past. Because it's just really hard to recover it. Yes, I suppose Diantha can recover them. That is possible. And a Bayonet can recover them, and some Zoroark decks are playing Bayonet. But otherwise, it's just really difficult to recover special energy here. So as an alternative to Enhanced Hammer, it is kind of over-the-top phenomenal. And maybe Enhanced Hammer won't be in the format forever. I mean, the most recent print we've had of Enhanced Hammer wasn't that recent. It last came around in Guardians Rising. So there's a decent chance it's going to rotate out in September 2019. In which case, if we don't have Enhanced Hammer, then all of a sudden this card becomes way better. Also in Guardians Rising, Field Blower came out. Well, Field Blower is the only real way we've got to reliably get rid of tools and stadiums in terms of an item card at the moment. And if that rotates out next September, which there's a very good chance it will, then great news, we've got Dangerous Drill. If we don't get reprints or alternatives to Enhanced Hammer and Field Blower, this card becomes like 1 billion times better. Yes, you've got Faber, and yes, Faber does put them in the lost zone, not the discard, meaning they just cannot be recovered by stuff like Bayonet or Diantha. But then again, it's your only supporter for the turn, so it's not exactly like you're going to be wanting to do that over and over again every turn. And what we're left with is an over-the-top phenomenal card with a really awkward condition to use. As an alternative to Enhanced Hammer, well, it's better because it gives you 2 other options. You can get a tool or a stadium. As an alternative to Field Blower, it's a slightly weaker version because you can only get 1. But then again, you can also get a special energy, so that's absolutely fine here. So the conclusion for this card can only be, it's over the top crazy good if you can play it. And I don't know how often you're going to be able to play it. And that makes me really sad. If this card didn't have the discarded Darkness energy from your hand, if it was just discard a special energy or tool or a stadium, it would be just over the top redonk. But it's not. And that's what makes me sad. So I'm going to sit here and essentially give it between 3 and 4 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies, that would be barbaric. But that's not really a very fair score. Because if you can play this card, it's absolutely over the top ridiculous. And if you can't play this card, then what's the gosh darned point? Because you can't play the card. And that's essentially where we end up here. I will, however, say that if you were running into the future a little bit, and both Enhanced Hammer and Field Blower get rotated without an alternative being printed, well then that changes a lot, ladies and gentlemen, and makes this card even better. Yay! But this is, if nothing else, a super interesting card that we should be having a chat about. So let's have a chat about it down in the comment section. Tell me what you think about it. Go nuts, but do remember the rule. Be nice. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all of that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.